Cincinnati Bengals went to San Francisco, rematches of Super Bowls 16 and 23.
Yeah.
And I'm not making an excuse for the 49ers here, although they probably would appreciate me making this argument.
No.
There is something inherently unfair about them being on a 6-day turnaround.
You said that last
and
week.
the Bengals having the full 14 days to get ready. That is a competitive imbalance, and I know there's so many moving parts and there's so much going on with the schedule, yada, yada, yada. 49ers got screwed.
Yeah.
Regardless of how you slice it,
Right.
it happens. It's bad enough to face a team coming off their bye week when you have a full week to get ready. But to only have 6 days flying home from Minnesota, what do you expect? And look, I don't want to take anything away from what the Bengals did. The Bengals looked great. The Bengals looked like the team that we had expected them to be all year.
Right.
But I thought about it all week. It's one of the reasons why I picked them.
Yeah.
There's just something about that imbalance in preparation that I think becomes a factor.
Yeah, no, you're definitely, at a disadvantage when you're in that situation like the 49ers. Too, you think about the stretch they've gone through, the spotlight on them for the Cowboys game. You go to Cleveland. Cleveland, of course, they got the spotlight on them. They want to show that they're capable to play with the big boys. Minnesota, the same thing, kind of a desperate must-win type of football game. 49ers went through a tough stretch here, and then, of course, have the Bengals coming to town who are from the AFC North. Everybody in that division's playing well. It was kind of a must-win game for them yesterday to a degree. So and the 49ers didn't play their best football. But I think if we're going to start off the conversation, I think we start off with what you said there. Burrow looked like Burrow. The Bengals offense looked as close as to what we have seen, late in the season, the last 2 seasons. We got to remember, Burrow, no training camp. Burrow, probably a few weeks without really being able to practice a full workload, right? Here's the first time he's healthy, and he was different. This was the first thing you noticed. You were like, uh-oh. Movement's going to be an issue today for the 49ers. Burrow's back. Slippery Joe, the slippery son of a bitch. Okay, that's what I call him every now and then. Sorry, Mike.
Yeah,
okay, we said worse on this show.
All right. And will.
But his running, and then, Mike, something you probably heard me say before, he's the best zone passing quarterback in football. And then when they get man-to-man, like you see on this play here, it's Jamar Chase, one-on-one, see you later. But he's so quick to read defenses, manipulate the defense with his eyes. The 49ers, who love zones, you heard me kind of talking during the game yesterday, they got picked apart. They basically got put into mercy and went, we can't play what we want to play. We're going to have to play man and be a little more aggressive. And 31-17, it was a fun game to watch, but the Bengals clearly controlled it. I agree with you there.
That 2 weeks allowed Joe Burrow to get
totally
to 100%.
Right.
The calf that was bugging him, and we thought it was going to last all year. That bye week was critical. The timing couldn't have been better. Here's Burrow on using his legs yesterday in beating the 49ers.
Really, that was athleticism, acceleration, explosiveness was really a big focus of mine in the offseason. I just haven't really been able to show that too much, so it was nice to have that hard work pay off.
Looking like Macaulay Culkin grown up again. The sparkle's coming back into his eye after a rough start to the season. This guy hasn't had a normal preseason.
It's unbelievable.
In years.
Yeah.
And that calf injury hovered, and it was aggravated, and they rushed him back, and they played him through it, and I really did think it was going to be an all-year thing. But yesterday, phenomenal. His best game of the year. A great game for the Bengals. They get to the right side of 500. The AFC North continues to be holy cow.
I know.
And now all of a sudden the San Francisco 49ers, who 3 weeks ago looked like they were on track to pummel everyone en route to a Super Bowl win.
Yeah.
They're in second place in the NFC West.
Right.
Looking up at the Seahawks.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It is. It really is. I mean, Joe Cool, right, as you call him, Joe Cool Part 2, because there was Joe Montana Part 1, right? We know that. I'm always amazed at his just calm demeanor, never blinks, and like you said, finally gets healthy and reminds everybody just how good he is. And then I think when you add on top of that, the O-line gave him a chance yesterday, right? I mean, there was a lot of times in those first 5-6 games you were like, he doesn't have a chance to do anything. And then, the offense itself was sputtering a little bit. I think they found their groove yesterday a little bit. Ran the ball. Joe Mixon looked phenomenal. Burrow and Chase were phenomenal. They spread the ball around. And then the defense made some plays. And like you said, the 49ers, we were sitting here 3 weeks ago going like, there is no question they're the best team in football. They kind of lose a game they probably shouldn't have lost to the Browns, right? I'm not taking anything away from the Browns, but the 49ers made some self-inflicted mistakes, got a few
41-yard field goal, and they win.
Missed the chip shot field goal. Last week, outplayed on the road by the Vikings. Your Vikings, Kirk Cousins, played great. You thought this would be the game, hey, we wake up, we get back on track here, and the Bengals had a different idea. And the Bengals remind all of us that they are truly a Super Bowl contender as well. And, 49ers, D getting torn up here as of late. Two similar systems tearing them up. And then Brock Purdy magic, even though he made some amazing plays yesterday, turning the football over a lot the last 3 weeks and not playing his best football. So the Niners got some issues on both sides.
Let's start with the defense,
because
the big talking point out of Monday night, that horrendous blitz that Steve Wilks called just before the half, the back and forth, the conversation, our analysis of when the head coach needs to step in and press the kill switch. Kyle Shanahan, by the end of the week, finally acknowledging, and I texted you, I respect him for doing that, acknowledging he should have called a timeout there. It's all on him. He's the coach of the team. He's responsible. Well, he's still responsible for what's out there, and he's responsible for that defense. Here he is on his confidence in first-year defensive coordinator Steve Wilks.
This isn't on any one coach or any one side of the ball. We haven't scored over 20 points here in 3 weeks too. So I think our defense needs to do better. I think our offense needs to do better. I think our team needs to do better. And when I say our team, I mean every single player in there, and I mean every single coach.
And that's not inaccurate, but something you and I talked about, and I haven't studied the film from last night, but the idea that there's not a whole lot of disguising going on with that defense now. And ordinarily it's good enough that you don't need to. But, boy, if you give Kirk Cousins, if you give Joe Burrow, if you give an experienced quarterback the look ahead of time and there's no effort to conceal it, which is one of the flaws right now that they need to fix. They got their bye week. They need to fix it. They need to use a cover 2 shell or single high shell or something and then move into what their real defense is. If you're going to – again, if everything's working – it doesn't matter. It's like Deion Sanders said last week when the Michigan sign sealing thing started to accelerate. You still have to stop it. And the 49ers ordinarily have been so good on defense, it doesn't matter. Hey, here's what we're running. Good luck. They have to spend this 2 weeks to fix problems like that.
They're still really good. We know that. Steve Wilks, I think, is still finding his way and how they want to do things within this 49ers defensive system, and he's learning that as well. I think to your point, too, there could be a little more trickeration involved, whether that's disguises, hey, just a splash blitz every now and then, or the illusion. To me, that is one of the most successful things in the game right now, and that's where I think Robert Saleh and D'Amico Ryan, before Steve Wilks, found the sweet spot of, hey, we got a creative 1 or 2 blitzes. We showed you them, and then we kind of scare you the rest of the game with guys at the line of scrimmage. Fred Warner's up there looking like he's in a blitz, and then they get back into a coverage that they're comfortable running, like you're saying. And
it's kind of like what the Jets do now. Put all those guys on the line of scrimmage, and you don't know who's coming.
You don't know who's coming, who's going. Is it going to be man? Are they going to drop in their cover 3? Are they going to drop in the cover 4? Yeah, they don't do a ton on that side of the ball. And the 49ers are not a team that wants to play a ton of man-to-man. Like we kind of broke down last week, they want to play zone, and they're very good at it, and they find ways. If you got 2 receivers here, they make it a 3-on-2 zone. If you got 3 receivers here, they make it a 4-on-3 zone, and they pass it off brilliantly. But teams, I think, are figuring it out a little bit. We're seeing that, right? And then you add that to, like we saw last week, self-inflicted mistakes, fumble on the first drive, a chip shot field goal missed, a stupid call at the end of the half on the 0 blitz, right? And now you get, Joe Burrow comes to town, and he's hitting on all cylinders, and they got some answers for your defense. And then, of course, their offense has a few more self-inflicted wounds. You're going to lose 3 games in a row. And it was 31-17. And Money Mack missed a field goal in the first half that, I think it was 49 yards. And then here's another one that I don't think everybody realized. They fumbled on the 3-yard line going into
Bengals
score.
did. Yeah,
Bengals.
it would have been worse.
Right. I mean, they really kind of moved the ball up and down the field on the 49ers all day. You never felt like the Niners were going to hold them down. And I think that's the greatness of the Bengals, of course, and the 49ers. I mean, I think through 8 games here, we haven't called Nick Bosa's name nearly as much as we would expect.
And he said last week the holdout affected it.
How could it not, right? I think
Which is a message to all teams out there.
Right.
And players.
Right.
You got to reset your clock as to when it's midnight. It's not midnight when the regular season starts.
Yeah.
It's midnight when camp opens.
Yeah.
If that guy wants to have an impactful season, if the team wants to have an impactful season, everybody get to your bottom line. Don't screw around. Don't let it run all the way until the start of the regular season. Get it done before camp opens. Get that guy in there. You're going to pay him anyway. It's just a question of when. You're going to pay him either right before the season or you're going to pay him right before camp. Friggin' pay him and get him in there.
Yeah.
And his side needs to be reasonable too. And everybody just needs to come up with this illusion, to use the word that you used a little bit ago, illusion that this is, we agree, clock strikes 12, because it's in everyone's interest for him to be there, for the player to be there for the full training camp, for the full period of time, to be fully and completely ready to go. Because I don't care where you're working out. Think back to Ezekiel Elliott in 2019, down in Mexico working out.
You can't emulate
You
it.
can't get yourself properly prepared to have an NFL caliber season if you're not working out with NFL caliber teammates, opponents, etc.
Yeah, being pushed in practice, going through the routine of, hey, it's a play clock in practice. We're running more plays than we would run in an actual game, right? We're conditioning in the middle of practice. Those are the things that do get you ready. I mean, there's a reason there's a phrase called football shape. Bosa's in incredible shape, but there's no way to emulate pass rushing 45 times with a 320-pound guy leaning on you throughout the day and then trying to get off him another 20 times in the run game and take him on that way. There's nothing you can do. You can hit the tackling dummy all you want. It doesn't push back, so it's just not going to work that way. But I do think, their defense, not only scheme-wise, like we were talking about, I think there's some players there that we could probably look at, too, and go, they haven't been quite as dominant. Javon Hargrave, all the money they've given to him, we're 3 weeks in a row of watching him solely. We watched him solely on Monday night against the Vikings yesterday. Doesn't pop a whole lot. I don't think they're getting what they want out of him at this point. So, it's a combination of, I think, what Kyle Shanahan said perfectly. It's the team. The coach has got to be better. The players got to be better, and they've kind of lost their way here the last few weeks.
You got a skeleton behind you. You got a skeleton back there.
I do. Yeah, I know. We did a TikTok video next to him.
Oh, that's funny.
That's right.
Yeah.
You almost knocked him over.
I know. Well, I was
He's saying hi.
You know what I was trying to do?
Yeah.
I was trying to configure his hand,
For the
give him a middle finger. Yeah,
that would have been fitting.
But the joints don't actually work.
They
He's
don't
got
move.
rigor mortis.
So now he's just saying hi.
Yeah, he can't do that.
He's like, Happy Halloween.
He can't scratch his forehead. I feel bad for the guy. He can't scratch his
damn,
forehead.
that's a
Poor
shame.
guy.
Poor
he
guy.
doesn't have a forehead. He's just got the bone. All right. You mentioned Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
Is this as simple as there's enough film on him now and defenses have kind of cracked his code? Yes, he's running the Shanahan system, but they've figured out how he moves, what his tells are, whatever those little things are that they – and I love hearing Chris Spielman tell the stories about watching film and every little thing you look for, every little clue as to what a guy's doing. Is this just we have enough Brock Purdy games and we've found something that he does that gives us an idea of what we're going to need to do?
He's still a really good player, right? I think everybody got a little too crazy with some of the praise, especially after the Dallas win. When like I said, I jokingly started going like, listen, when we start going like he's Tom Brady, I want to go calm down here a little bit. Let's see a little bit more before we just dive down that path. I think a little bit of what you're saying, right? I think the other thing, and to me the more important thing here, and Brock Purdy is really good, again, but this is where I argued on Football Night in America. He is a system quarterback. There's nothing wrong with that. Not to say he can't make plays outside of the system, but at the same time, what I want to make clear is he's not John Elway or Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen or Brett Favre, where you could just be like, or Aaron Rodgers in his prime, or you're like, hey, the team's a little banged up, but we're not playing his best. We can depend on him to drop back 45 times and we'll win the game. It doesn't matter. He's not that. And I think that's where people lost their way a little bit. And I think what's kind of showed that is they haven't been able to get leads in the game early on. And so their defense can't fly around and play quite the way it wants to. They haven't run the ball worth a damn the last 3 weeks, right, Mike? There's no Deebo Samuel. And I think that more has been put on his shoulders as far as, hey, we're not dominating the line of scrimmage. I don't have as many tricks to kind of get off on the offense and whatever else. So you got to make some plays for us. And he made a ton of great throws and plays yesterday. But like I said, I don't think he's still in year 2. And I don't think he's as talented as some of those names I mentioned. And I think defenses, are more comfortable with, hey, we'll play Brock Purdy rather than let McCaffrey run downhill on us and speed sweeps and reverses go everywhere. So, yeah, he's going through a little bit of a struggle right there. That was 2 bad interceptions we saw yesterday.
I was surprised he was cleared to play.
Yeah.
I really was. I wrote this yesterday at PFT.
Right.
If he had suffered another concussion yesterday, the NFL would have had a huge mess on its hands because the prevailing reaction would have been he never should have been cleared in the first place.
Right.
Even though, in theory, if everything is blocked correctly, that first concussion has healed, it's resolved, and he's good to go. But, there was a moment yesterday where he hits his head on the ground and he doesn't get checked out. I don't understand, with all those people watching, all those spotters, everyone that's got a button that they can press.
Right.
Sometimes nobody wants to press the button. Sometimes there's too many people with a finger on the button that they think someone else is going to press it.
Yeah.
Because what was the fear yesterday? Oh, no. Brock Purdy gets another concussion, and everyone says, why in the hell was he playing? Everybody knew that was coming.
Plus, nobody wants to be really the bad guy anyways when a guy says he wants to play and be out there and all that.
Here's the thing we need to remember. And, it's 20 minutes into the program. I haven't pissed off the league office yet. When they keep saying the neurologist, the independent neurologist, independent, it's just independent of the team. It's not independent of the league.
Yeah.
The league wants the quarterbacks to play.
Right.
Generally.
Right.
The league wants guys to be cleared to play. Generally. The league wants to be able to say, we're very concerned about player health and safety, but they want those quarterbacks to play. Specific team wants its quarterback to play, which is why they introduced independence in the first place, because the team doctor, bought and paid for by the team, if you start holding out the players too often, they're going to find somebody else to give them a bunch of money to be the official team doctor. Right. Somebody who'll be more likely to say our guys can play. And the league doesn't just go find a doctor for one player in one game and then they say, thanks, go on your way, you're fully independent and you have no further relationship with us. The independent doctors want to continue to have that gig. And I'm just surprised. Last year, post-Tua, there's no way Brock Purdy would have been cleared after 6 days. There's no way in hell it would have happened. And I don't care what anyone wants to say about it because it's still a very inexact science.
Yeah, of course.
And there's no way somebody's signing that piece of paper that he goes and plays. Now, this year, they've gotten a little lax again. And they're going to stay a little lax because lax means we get our quarterbacks on the field for big games.
Yeah.
They built it yesterday as the number 1 overall pick versus Mr. Irrelevant.
Right.
NFL's Twitter put that out there. That goes away if Brock Purdy isn't cleared. So, and really, he hits his head and people notice, and it's like, did no one want to be the one to potentially look at this guy and say, yeah, you know what, he's back in the protocol, and because then that's all anyone's talking about.
Yeah, right.
Brock Purdy becomes the new Tua.
Yeah, I hear you there. There's definitely some conflict of interest when it comes to this conversation.
Using the word independent does not wipe that out. You're absolutely right.
Right, and I think too with Purdy, and like you said, it is still an exact science, and we quite honestly don't know. 6 days after a big game where he had a concussion, does one good hit on the head kind of bring back or bring back some of the symptoms again? Those are things that I think we're still in the infancy stages of trying to figure these things out when it comes to the brain. So I think it's fair to question, certainly, Mike. I think, the more important thing, because, he threw for 365 yesterday, and he made some unreal throws. I would say no McCaffrey, no Deebo Samuel, not no McCaffrey, but just not running the ball like we saw them early in the year. And then here's another thing I'll throw at you. Schwartz, Flores, Lou Anarumo. You talk about 3 defensive coordinators right there that can think outside the box. They can do some game plan specific stuff to throw some curveballs at you a little bit. And I think because they took away some of the staples of the 49ers offense, it just put the shine or the spotlight right on Purdy. And that's led to him having to do more than what he has had to do late last year or early this year, and I think that's why we've seen, how many turnovers is it the last few weeks? It's 2 last week, right?
3 yesterday.
3 yesterday. 1 against the Browns with a bunch of missed throws there too. So he's certainly on a little bit of a cold streak here, at least not and not protecting the ball the right way.
And that interception we showed earlier.
Well, let's show that clips again if we can.
Right, and
right.
Where's your spatial awareness?
It was
of
right
where the guy is.
Yeah,
it was bizarre. It
right,
was like a high school,
here
like
it is,
a mid-level high school quarterback play. All due respect, what's he doing?
Yeah, well, it looked like it was initially supposed to be a shovel pass. Can we rewind that, guys, if you get a chance here? It looks like it was supposed to be a shovel pass to George Kittle inside, right? It wasn't there, so now it's run. There's linemen down the field. That's why the flag is thrown. And now he's on the edge. He sees Elijah Mitchell kind of come open, but you're right, has no feel for where Jermaine Pratt is, and Pratt does a phenomenal job getting a hand on the ball and then knocking it himself. This is the one where, Mike, if you want to question what was in Brock Purdy's brain, that would be the one where I'd go, I've never seen him do that right there. He basically just threw it to the middle linebacker right down the middle of the field, and that was pretty much game over when he did that, because the next play, the Bengals scored. They were up by 14, and you felt like they had total control of the football game there. So, certainly not his best. And even before this strip sack, he threw a bad interception before that. They called roughing the passer, if you remember. So, I don't know. But either way, he's not playing his best. The 49ers are off their game. And like you said, they're going to have to go back to the drawing board here during the bye week.
And again, that process of clearing a player is extremely inexact. And I know the NFLPA is involved as well. But the independent neurologist, I think it's better to refer to that person as the league employed neurologist, because there is a conflict of interest there, because they want to have the best players on the field. A lot of quarterbacks injured this year. There's an urgency to get the best guys out there. Not that who knows what the 49ers would have done with Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
But it was a 4:25 p.m. Eastern game.
That's right.
Big game on a weekend when the primetime game, and this is the NFL's call, the primetime game was not a big game. There were only 2 games yesterday where both teams were over 500. The Browns, Seahawks,
right,
and Steelers, Jaguars.
Right.
Those are the only 2. So again, there's a lot of different ingredients that go into the stew. And we've heard the comments about how, because at the end of the day, you got to pass the baseline cognitive test they give you in training camp. Remember when Peyton Manning joked about how he would tank that so it would be easy to...
Sure.
And he just
made the
said
baseline
it.
lower.
He
so
flat out said
right.
it. And then once it all hit the fan, I was joking.
Yeah.
That was back when he was playing.
Hey, I hear you. I mean, we've had this discussion. I probably would have done the same thing. I don't, again, it's, if I was Brock Purdy on the plane last week, I wouldn't have gone. I said this to my wife. I was like, man, the current player, they're so open about this stuff. I would have never told anybody. I'd have been like, what, Sam Darnold's behind me? There's a lot of people. There's no chance I'm getting there.
I'd love to know the whole story of
right,
whether someone else noticed it,
right,
whether he put his hand up. Because, this isn't firmly entrenched franchise quarterback who can afford to tap out for any reason and be confident that the job's still going to be there. Because Sam Darnold and Brock Purdy the guy was 3rd overall pick, and Kyle Shanahan loves him, and he comes in and is a system quarterback and runs the system well, and they win. Yeah. You never know. No. Jimmy Garoppolo got thrown overboard. Trey Lance got thrown overboard. Brock Purdy could get thrown overboard.
That's right. He sees Sam Darnold's talent. He sees it at practice every day. He knows what it is, and it's a good discussion, but certainly didn't think I was going to be here 3 weeks after that butt whoop and they gave the Cowboys, going, man, the 49ers are 5-3 going into the break here. That is kind of shocking. I still think they're really damn good, but they obviously got some things to fix there.
Before we pivot to the second game for the opening segment of PFT Live, which I don't think I identified as on Peacock, Sirius XM.
You didn't. You didn't say anything.
Sky
you were
Sports
so
NFL.
drooling over the damn sweatshirt.
Eagles,
Kirk Cousins gets hurt, and the guy's ready to become an Eagles fan and move to Philadelphia. Jeez.
You have to get a Jalen Hurts tattoo.
Damn, there you go. There you're going to ditch the Pittsburgh Steelers, in-state rival like that? How dare you?
I was right yesterday, though. The Boston meatballs came through yesterday, even though it looked like we're going to talk about it later. But, God, they just hang around and hang around.
They are. They're
you mentioned Joe Cool.
Yeah.
The original football Joe Cool, obviously Joe Montana.
Right.
Do you know where Joe Cool actually came from?
I think I do, because I want to say it's Snoopy.
Yeah, you're looking at my screen.
No, but I kind of remembered. I saw
Snoopy.
you looking at it earlier.
Because when you said it, because I've never embraced Joe Cool, because
Yeah.
in my mind, Joe Cool is Snoopy.
Right.
Joe Cool is one of Snoopy's alter egos, which first appeared in the Peanuts comic strip May 27, 1971. As Joe Cool, Snoopy pretends to be a college student. To become Joe Cool, he simply puts on a pair of sunglasses, leans against a wall, and says, "My name is Joe Cool." There it is.
There it is.
So that's all you have to do to be Joe Cool.
Yeah.
Sunglasses, lean against the wall, and say your name is Joe
That
Cool.
seems like a Burrow pose. He's kind of a sunglasses, lean on the wall, like, hey, I'm here, I'm Joe Burrow. Look at that. That's amazing right there. Legends. Hey, Joe Cool, Snoopy, that's cool. But how many
Only
Super
one's
Bowls?
got sunglasses
How many
on.
Super Bowls did you win, Snoopy? Oh, none. Okay, you've been trumped by these two right here. Joe, both of these Joes are
Snoopy
incredible.
was a fearless World War I pilot, if you didn't know.
Oh, I did not know that. Damn.
Sopwith Camel.
Don't bore me with all your old
Red
man
Baron.
facts, okay? Get out of here. Oh, I do remember him in the Red Baron.
Well, maybe
I
you
remember
aren't as
seeing
young
it,
as you
like-
think you are.
I remember seeing some highlights of it or something.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.